What's going on YouTube? It's your buddy Will from the What's Up in the Sky 37 channel, online at www.whatsupinthesky.com, and you are looking at a Curiosity rover shot. This is one from one of the new saws, saw 1107. If you saw my sneak peek, I made of this while sitting in traffic earlier. I think I said 106, but 107. And boy, look at the geometry on this thing. We've got it looked like it was a block came out of something. Some of it looks to be chipped off down here. Like I said, Uncle Jake's junkyard, it looks like Mars was just destroyed by something at some time. Um, and that's not it. This whole picture is filled with all sorts of angles, weird looking debris, and it's pretty much everywhere. I've added a couple areas where we're just going to see a lot of straight lines. Look up here, some of this other stuff we're looking at. I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty low, but we've got stuff down here. We've got stuff over here. We've got some really strange stuff right there. If you can see it right there in the middle. If you can see that come up to, it almost looks like venting of some sort. Who knows what exactly that is? Some mineral maybe. Over here we've got some interesting stuff. So we're going to take, as we do, we're going to take this picture apart piece by piece. Look at that up here. More, this looks like a question mark stamped into the thing. I think this is going to take away a lot of, if you're still a skeptic on Mars, I don't know what else I can show you to make you think that there was some sort of cataclysm and boy did it tear up Mars and what was there. Right here too, look at this part that was a block. And it looks like this was cut for some reason. Here. Even in like a kind of a V shape. See it? And it goes straight down through there like it's just cut. It was manufactured. Up here there's some very interesting pieces to it. This is this right here. Straight, perfect right there. That's straight. So let me show you where I got it. And here it is right here. And I also want to show you, if we've done this before, the FotoForensics of this one, because it shows what looks to be, make that a little bigger for you, changing. See where the blocks are? Now this whole picture should fairly much look the same. It should look like this. See how it's got that TV kind of fuzz to it? And where you see the blocks, especially these blocks, that's where it's when it's either been manipulated or saved differently. And when we go back and look where these places are, one is directly under it right here. So we're going to check that place out right here where it almost looks like there's some fake sand. I mean, we call it fake sand. NASA seems to put in on some pictures. Right here, up here, we've got some interesting stuff, and that's all around that sand. See how that sand just has that? So it almost looks like they're painting sand on just to kind of change the scenery just a little bit. And this is FotoForensics.com. You can find this. I'll put the link on here so you can just at the below where you can find this link, and you also find a link to the basically the I do an article on whatsupinthesky.com on every single one I do. So every image I do lately gets an article where I've got a bunch of these up close. You can see these enhanced, and you can also download the enhanced version as well as the as a link to the one that comes directly from NASA. But let's take a look at this bad boy right there starting off, because whatever it is, it was ornate. It was pretty cool. And let me show you what, first off too, what's some remnants of some old pieces in, here's Egypt. Old blocks in Egypt. Here, check out some of these right down in here. Just stuff, this wasn't even that long ago. Who knows how long the devastation happened on Mars? It could have happened recently for all we know. But look at, you see almost perfect blocks, but you don't see them everywhere. See, they look like they've been time weathered, just like we see here on Mars. And typical, this looks like a lot of what we find here. Over here, let's check some of these out. These are just some of the ones, and they even have, like we find on Mars, these circles in them and these cuts like this and over here. So I just wanted to show you kind of, what, just as a comparison, what we're kind of looking at. See, now this block in front of it, has a lot of those type of pieces to it. And look, it's pretty interesting here how this works. We've got this that comes over, and here, let me put my little red thing back up, what I've done. I think this is what my eyes do. Your eyes might do something different. This looks like another piece here that's been pushed out. Here we have, it could be that some seems like some of those blur marks we get where they have shadows and they're always square blocks and they seem to kind of just obfuscate everything. Here's where those, wow, here's where the, from the photo forensics here and here, sure does look like they might have done a little bit of blurring of something there, but you never know. But that photo forensics does show, a little something going on. But check right there. See how that square block, hopefully you guys can see this. See how that square block comes and it's kind of blurred off. But whatever's here, you should still be able to see pretty cleanly right there. But you can't. But boy, they've left in a lot here to work with. Now, I've I've brightened it up a little bit on this one. Now this one right here, this is where you can really see the blockiness of it. What I did to these first two, I smoothed it out a little bit first. See, but when in the process of doing that, you lose a little bit of the intricacies of the stonework or whatever, the ins and outs, but you get a much cleaner picture of it. So you still see some of it there, and you get what's prevalent. Like here, you can see on this piece right here. Check this out behind it. It almost looks like a piece of sheet metal or something. We've got one right there and we've got one right here. Look at the shaping of this. It comes down, up, over, down, around. And here it's pretty dark, but let me show you how it comes from NASA, how it came from NASA. Um, but see how this one almost looks like it comes there, there, there. You've got almost two features, almost like this was perfectly put somewhere else. And I say that perfectly because it's sheared off here perfectly, just like it's cut. Just like you see in these images where things have been cut perfectly to be put somewhere. I mean, look at this, the walls, and we're looking at stuff. This stuff could have been up on the mountain. We're right by Mount Sharp. Who knows what this is? But all we know, we're buried. Uncle Jake's junkyard. It looks like all the stuff is buried in sand, soot. Looks like water's been ravaging it, and who knows how long the water was actually sitting here, hitting this, rolling on it, helping, degrade and helping bring this stuff down to how it looks like today. It's still pretty amazing either way. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of these little pieces inside here. Let's see if we can't sharpen this one up. This is pretty cool. I was looking at this earlier. Let's use the darker version. Hopefully you guys your screen. This is just a sharpening tool right there. See how it has it comes around here right where I've got the circle at. It kind of twists around almost like this is a piece of something, like a little piece of machinery. You don't see many rocks that have that pattern in it that comes around. Oh, back to that little piece of what I think is sheet metal. It comes up here, ready? It goes up, over, and around. It gets buried in the sand right here, then comes back up, and it kind of twists up and over this piece here. And it's got this like almost wire-looking piece coming down through it. And that's the only thing I can say for that. Is that it actually has, look at that. It's almost like a wire. Let me get that a little bit bigger on the screen there. See how that comes across? And I know once it gets big on the screen like this, I've got a 27-inch iMac, so it looks really good in HD. But when I pull it up there, it looks really blurry. It doesn't seem to be as bad when you're looking at it on a tablet or cell phone. But like I said, when you look at this first block here, it's pretty cool, I must say. So let's keep on taking a look here because this is also interesting right next to it. Whatever this is either a rock that's laying down across the back here, or it's got a shadow. To me, I think somebody already pointed this out on my sneak peek. I think that's just a shadow of that, right? Not a shadow. I think it's just part of the rock that comes up like that, and some of it's hit the sun. Here, right here, whatever this is, just kind of sticking out. Um, Interesting. I want to see if when I'm kind of sharpening it up there, but one of the coolest features you notice as you pull back to another one over here, if you don't think that block is cool, and if you don't think some of these other, here, let me flip them back on, some of these other blocks, like up here where we've got, once again, I'll show you, a block that's got a 90 degrees. It comes down, has another. What's interesting when I say he's got 90, look at that. It comes down, it has the 90 degrees down, and it's the same width as it comes. And then the front of it, it actually looks like it has, well, first off, it's got a big blur mark right across it. And I can even point it out for you here. Right here, there's one right here, and there's one right there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Well, the one right here seems to be hiding a pretty intricate piece of something. You can see it comes up here. It's got a little sphere on it. Almost looks like writing or some sort of hieroglyph, which would definitely be hidden a little bit more than something else. Or it could just be, you know, too much shadowed to pick up. A lot of people say that my squares are shadows, but I think that we're looking a little bit more obfuscation sometimes, and a lot of people will lead on. Once again, because you've got these right here, when everywhere around it, you don't have it. But when you take that off, and let's see, and you start, sharpening up right here around it, you see how intricate it is. Until you get over those square marks, everything seems to be blurred out. So that's why I go with that. But let me get back and show you the really intricate piece that was pretty cool. That almost looks like venting or something along those lines. Okay, here, let me find it myself again. Where are you? There's so much on here. More block down there. You see that? I showed you that a little bit earlier. It's got that front piece to it, which says it needed to be fitted somewhere. To me, it does. Still don't see it yet. There's still a couple. There's more. I'm just looking through all the blocks right now. Oh, right here. Here we go. Let me take that off and let me take it. As you can see, take a look at that. Check this out. Right here. Just it comes up and it has a 90-degree down angle, and it just looks like something was there, and that's where it finally its resting place was. It's white. It's different than the rest of the rocks. Interesting. Just thought you guys would think that's pretty cool. Now let's go back over to this side of the picture because we haven't looked at it too much. So let me put this on. Look at these straight lines here that I've got into this. Um, it almost looks like an area that was part of a, God only knows, just some sort of flooring, maybe foundation. That's what this stuff is. Everything I see is I see what I see. I try and speculate in what I could imagine it being here in Earth terms, but who knows what these were needed for? They could have been some grates that carried something somewhere. Like I said, I do a lot of speculation here. This is not really that scientific in a way, other than when we're looking at pictures, it's kind of more entertainment in a way. We're looking at images from what are supposedly Mars, and if I see blocks that are supposedly on Mars that look like they came from Egypt or somewhere else in the world, and here's some more. And as you go through the older Egyptian ruins, or as you go through the ones in Mexico, after the 2,000 years, 3,000, they look dilapidated. You can tell the stuff that's been worked that's new. You can tell the stuff that's old. And everything on Mars seems to look old. So a lot of people say, "Oh, is there a civilization there now?" Look at these blocks. Look at them all kind of around. These were all part of something at some time. Something probably beautiful, beyond beautiful. Um, and whatever suffered the catastrophe on Mars really did a number on it. All right, so let's go check out our wedge out here. It looks like a slice of pizza. Another what I think is just a manufacturer block. One down, one over, and up. It whole front of it has that blur block to it, where you can see on the edge here that there is some intricate pieces to it, but it's all been blurred out again. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if NASA's doing this on purpose. I think the rover might do it sometimes. My friends and I have gone back and forth. Is the optics doing it? Sometimes I've taken a lot of pictures just around out back. I've taken a lot of pictures from when I was, you know, hiking or doing things out, probably like 6 to 10 years ago, where my cameras weren't as nice and don't see these as much. So it's it's hard to say that yes, that's Zach NASA's been messing with things, but when you pull up an air level analysis of something, and you can see that there's been changes on a JPEG, and these are only saved at 70%. You want to really get mad, look at the JPEG quality of these. 70% on the mass cams, where you've got 95% on the Molly. That's why I love using the Molly cams much better than the mass cam, because you don't get all this junk that you see here. And this is the only other thing up here I thought was interesting. This looks like it's got a cut that is the exact width across the whole way through the cut, and it looks to be a totally different piece. It doesn't belong in the area. It looks like there's part of it here and there's part of it down here. um, and maybe even if you got rid of some of this soot, some of this dirt, some of this, you'd actually see maybe it is part of it. But check it out. I've already put the line across it. Look, it is the exact width, and it is perfectly straight. Just like here, perfectly straight. At the end, it rounds and goes up towards like a 90-degree angle into a little circle there. But let me do it again. Right there. And then right here, you've got more blocking with these angles. You shouldn't see this many of them that close together. If you're at least I don't think you should. Um, from a Mars rover that's on a planet far, far away that supposedly had no life and is cold and barren, which I think that I hopefully have proved to you if you've watched my videos. This is going to be my Mars video number 340 something now. No, 360 something maybe. I've done more than I've even kept track of. So look at this piece coming in here. It looks just like every other place. Uncle Jake's junkyard. Now, here's where there's no shadows, and it looks like we've got that NASA obfuscation again. So where I can see where people summon them and say, all right, well, they're in shadows, it shouldn't be blocked out. Look at these here. There's a through there, through there. You can see that around this is clear. You've got kind of like a hose piece right here, but all in here is all blurred out. Here's another piece is down through there. So what am I to think? It's almost like we don't get a chance to see what's there. Now, this could be done because they saved these at 70%. Why are they being saved at 70%? Honestly, we have the Maven up there. We've got Mars Express. There's all sorts of satellites that can throw these back. We should be seeing video that's capable of taking video. We should be seeing all sorts of interesting stuff coming back from Mars. They claim that there's no ears on it, doesn't have a microphone, which I call bull on. To me, that's a lie. Why would they send something with no microphone? It makes no sense to build something for billions of dollars and not send it with a microphone. But the new rover is going to have a microphone. Very upsetting to me, but we'll talk about that another day. Once again, let's look at these angles. Oh, down here too. I didn't even notice that one was. Yep, right here as it comes straight across. All these perfectly straight pieces here. Well, it looks like this. I didn't do this in red, but man, does that look like a piece of sheet metal? How that comes up right there. Even how it's just kind of worked, and even me when I've changed these, I've changed the color by doing an auto color. Basically, what I did was I took it and I did auto color. Ooh, more rings down here. Look at that. I didn't even notice that earlier. Look at that. It looks like a ring around. We got our famous S here. At the other side of the S, there's two little spheres. Um, didn't even look much over here at this part of the image because that block just drew my attention the second I saw it. And thanks, Ron, my buddy Ron from the website sent this over to me. We've got some killer people on our website that really, really put in some time. I don't even want to mention names just to get people upset, but Todd, Bad Sneaker, um, Ben Evans, who's been going through some tough family times. I know his daughter needs some prayers, and just amazing people. Ron's joined the crew. We get people every day joining up there and starting to post. Dawn does a great job. And here again, over here, we've got more of these blurs. Like I said, on the coolest part of all, we see that. But what's interesting about the block is there's little ornate pieces down here to it. So it almost looks like it was part of something interesting. And you see the ornate pieces on other places as well. And where this comes out, you've got that, it's almost like a triangle piece here, and I could have see the blur if the blur wasn't there. Oops. Let me undo that move real fast. I probably could have figured that out, but there's this other piece right here in front of it, which is an interesting piece as well. It's kind of blurred out with that one piece right there at the bottom, but it does seem to be pretty symmetrical. Like if you cut it right down the middle, um, the two halves of it would be the same. So, all right, guys, much love to you. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm out of traffic down in in DC today. I was stuck there because the Pope was in town. That's why I made the little iMovie video I put out today, my sneak peek. Another piece right there just kind of looks worked out and rounded. There's so much on here. I hope that you guys comment below. Let me know what I missed because this is a pretty cool one. Send me pictures. I'll add it to the article. If you send me pictures, I'll add them to the article. will@willforard.net. Here, check this out. I keep finding stuff as I go. Here it comes down around here. Lots of junk up on Uncle Jake's junkyard. So, all right, guys, much love to you. Let me turn that off one more time so we can leave you with a piece of it as we slowly roll out. Up here, you can see that piece. It looks like venting, just kind of sitting up there. Lots of straight lines, lots of interesting stuff. Oh, that's the other piece I want to look at right here too. Isn't that cool? That's definitely going to be one I chop out for my, and that's a little bit far off, but this will be enhanced on my enhanced images. So come to the website. If you've watched the whole video, you are awesome. I love you guys. You're the reason I do this. Much love to you. What's up in the sky 37? My name is Will. Peace. 21 minutes in, not too bad. 22 minutes. It's a little bit longer, but a little bit long, but not as long as I've gone in the past. Peace.